I'm John Shields, as stated, a Senior Systems Engineer with Hewlett-Packard's Enterprise Group. I've been with HP for a little over 22 years in a variety of capacities centered on delivering world-class IT solutions to our customers. So how about this hyperconverged class of products? It certainly has the attention of the IT world, and that is for some really good reasons. HP is and will continue to play a major role in this space, as it is the convenient culmination of many years of general convergence deliverables from HP. Hyperconvergence at its most basic is an attempt to simplify the configuration and startup of virtualized environments. In our case, that means zero to data center in 15 minutes or less. HP's current hyperconverged implementations are most appropriate for mid-sized businesses looking for ways to streamline their infrastructure growth and improve upon their data protection and disaster recovery processes. Improvements to delivery schedules, SLAs, and support processes should all be considered invaluable components to a hyperconverged solution worthy of your investment. Additionally, the ease of implementation and flexible management possibilities facilitate the ability to deploy HP's hyperconverged solution in remote locations where IT administrative skills may be less than optimal. HP announced two offerings in the hyperconverged space: HP Converged System 200HC StoreVirtual, of which there are two different models, and the HP Converged System 200HC Evo Rail. Both platforms are built on the industry-leading ProLiant server, leveraging confidence and reliability building tools like ILO Advanced. Let's take a closer look at the two different platforms available from HP. The HP Converged System 200HC StoreVirtual is designed to simplify the deployment of your applications from mixed virtualized server workloads to business-critical applications and even virtual desktops. It comes equipped with VMware and StoreVirtual Enterprise features that you expect and need. At your fingertips, you have centralized management of compute and storage from inside VMware vCenter Server to eliminate the need for specialized expertise through the use of vCenter plugins from HP. Stretch cluster capabilities support business continuity by keeping applications online during appliance, rack level, or site-wide outages with 5 nines of availability. The CS200HC StoreVirtual provides synchronous and asynchronous replication, certified vSphere Metro storage cluster, and array-based snapshots with granular recovery capabilities. It's all the auto-configured data center needed in one box in under 15 minutes. The CS200HC StoreVirtual can deliver reliable server and desktop applications and data services with 4 times the compute in 75% less space than traditional rack servers due to the ProLiant 2U 4-node form factor. These StoreVirtual-based appliances scale up to 32 nodes in a single management group, with multiple management groups being possible. All-inclusive enterprise-class rich data services, synchronous replication, federated scale-out, pure motion mobility, sub-volume performance-based auto-tiering, thin provisioning, metro stretch clusters, and space reclamation. Established enterprise-class storage functionality based on the StoreVirtual VSA without the need for a dedicated storage array. Proven 5 nines high availability. That includes the ability to set HA levels per volume and change them on the fly. Continuous data availability. Disk, controller, server node, power supply, network, appliance, rack, room, or site failure resilient possibilities. Automated failover and failback, leveraging VMware's SRM site recovery and HP's StoreVirtual remote copy. Storage federation, also known as pure motion, is the ability to move data across the infrastructure to other StoreVirtual-based systems. Online migration of data across systems, locations, and even generation changes. Scale-out shared storage. All available capacity and performance is aggregated and accessible to every volume in the cluster if desired. The ability to share storage out to other servers, virtual or physical, and/or leverage existing storage you may already have in your environment. HP provides you choice of storage, the only hyperconverged platform that allows storage options to best match workloads and budget. All SAS or hybrid SSD and SAS models of the StoreVirtual solutions are available. Need the trusted reliability of true enterprise-class SAS drives? HP delivers. Need the performance and data protection of a tiered SAS and SSD RAID array combo? HP has you covered. Customers can set up clusters of different tiers within a site or use different tiers between home office and remote offices for maximum flexibility. Storage utilization. StoreVirtual's adaptive optimization tiering capability allows full performance and capacity of the mirrored RAID 1 SSD tier with 1.6 terabytes of usable storage in the hybrid model, adapting to the active workloads on an as-needed basis. Adaptive optimization automates dynamic movement of frequently accessed data onto SSDs while placing less frequently accessed data on more economical hard disks, SAS in this case. Adaptive optimization provides intelligent, automatic, and transparent performance optimization by monitoring data access patterns at a granular level based on a page size of 256K. With the use of adaptive optimization, the HP CS242 HC StoreVirtual, our hybrid model, identifies pages that contain the most frequently accessed or hot data on the system. Adaptive optimization automatically moves these pages onto higher performing Tier 0 storage comprised of SSD storage capacity. The system maintains a data heat map to continually track data access frequency and accelerate hot pages dynamically for the most efficient use of SSD capacities. The SAS drives are auto-configured in a RAID 5 array offering data protection and redundancy for less active workloads and static data storage in either a 6 terabyte or 11.5 terabyte usable capacity configuration per appliance depending on model. If a lower cost SAS-only option works for your more traditional server virtualization workloads, HP has an option for you that won't break the budget. The StoreVirtual models offer VMware licensing options. Choose to buy VMware Enterprise or Enterprise Plus licenses, or use licenses from VMware's ELA or the vCloud Air Partner Program. Fast deployment from zero to data center in under 15 minutes. Pre-engineered solutions designed with the IT generalist in mind. OneView Instant-On software, wizard-based startup tool, makes it easy to complete setup with minimal skills or infrastructure information required. Up to 640 linked clones per appliance as tested using IOMark VDI and its predefined workloads. Hundreds of traditional server and desktop VMs possible depending on resources needed for each. ILO 4 2.0 advanced management ports. Access the system remotely to verify hardware diagnostics and perform low-level management tasks. Remote power management, remote mounting of media, access system consoles, and/or boot into BIOS. Online upgrades. Firmware updates through HP Smart Update Manager, StoreVirtual VSA via the centralized management console, and VMware components via the vSphere Update Manager. Servers are being optimized to easily handle hosting applications as well as serve as a storage tier with built-in data protection. HP uniquely offers the ability to combine any StoreVirtual VSA running on any Intel-based x86 architecture, or any StoreVirtual appliance into separate clusters to expand the storage capabilities of the hyperconverged appliances, utilizing items that may already exist in your environment, and if not, offer flexibility in a range of prices suitable to any need without having to invest in additional appliances that may not be appropriate and cost-effective for your specific needs. By the way, you can get a free 1 terabyte StoreVirtual VSA license for your x86-based server on the HP.com website. Use your favorite search engine and search for HP plus StoreVirtual VSA plus 1 terabyte free and get yours today. The Converged Systems CS200HC StoreVirtual Hyperconverged solutions occupy a unique position with this level of flexibility in the industry. Hyperconverged may be a new category based on higher density form factor chassis and an automated and fast startup, but HP has been delivering in the compute and storage capabilities area included within it for over 7 years already, with over 1 million licenses sold. Suffice it to say that this isn't our first rodeo, and we aren't going to be the ones wearing the clown costumes and barrels at the end of the day. Coloradoisms aside, let's move on to HP's implementation of the VMware EvoRail solution. The EvoRail-based hyperconverged solution from HP sits on the same ProLiant server chassis, leveraging all of the same ProLiant and ILO advanced features that the StoreVirtual model, and this alone sets the EvoRail implementation from HP apart from the pack, as the industry-leading servers in the market offer reliability and manageability others simply can't. VMware themselves have touted the HP offering as a best-in-class solution via their own blogs and websites, and I encourage you to go out and look for them. The current EvoRail solution is limited to 4 appliances or 16 nodes as a maximum configuration. Storage on the EvoRail solution. A combination of SAS and SSD drives offer reliability and a performance-enhancing caching tier. Storage utilization. VMware's radically simple vSAN technology is at the heart of the EvoRail solutions and enables expansion via adding new ESX hosts with associated storage and/or adding additional storage to existing hosts up to the limitations of 6 disks per disk group and 5 disk groups per host. VMware licensing options. All VMware licenses come included in the price of the HP EvoRail solution today, including vSphere Enterprise Plus and ESXi for Compute. Fast deployments in minutes. Workload support for up to 100 average-size general-purpose VMs, though this can be highly dependent on the criteria used for those VMs. Online upgrades, firmware updates through the same process, HP Smart Update Manager, and VMware via vCenter Update Manager. The EvoRail pre-installed software stack includes the following: vSAN storage technology, vCenter server, and vCenter login site, in addition to the following features: vSphere vMotion and separate management traffic from VLANs. Because VMware already does a solid job of describing the capabilities of the EvoRail solution on their websites and in their own technical papers, I'll wrap up the product solution portion by simply saying that if you're planning to spend money on a virtualization infrastructure that is easy to deploy and manage, you should be very certain that the vendor you choose can deliver and support the full spectrum of the software-defined data center, inclusive of servers, storage, and networking. Otherwise, you're simply buying another soon-to-be obsolete appliance. I will now run a demonstration video of the install and setup of the HP-developed StoreVirtual-based hyperconverged solution for you all. 4 to 5 simple screens and less than 15 minutes to a ready-to-provision vCenter-based data center in a box with a choice of storage and data protection options.
HP OneView Instant-On will automatically start at Power On, so you want to be sure that the physical connections have been completed in advance per the setup and install guide. Initially, you will need to acknowledge and/or read the licensing for the VMware and HP components before moving on. We then move on to Discovery Agents, which seek out the physical nodes and verify the ESX host's status, as this was pre-installed by HP to speed up the overall install process. We then transition to assigning IP addresses, subnets, gateways, vSphere vMotion IPs, and the storage networking IPs. Click Next to proceed. Then we move on to the administrative credentials for the StoreVirtual VSAs on each node, and on to General Settings. This is where you name the physical appliance, add your DNS server, and your time server address. You can then optionally add mail settings, this is where you'd add things like an administrative email address to receive error messages on the environment. We then get to review the configuration as entered to verify that it's as we intend it to be, progressing finally to deployment. The actual deployment runs a little bit over 8 physical minutes with some additional time for typing. This means we go from 0 to data center in 15 minutes or less. Using the drop down on the details here, you can watch as the various steps are completed during the initial configuration and setup of the appliance. When this process has completed, you'll be given an option to launch vCenter and/or the CMC console for StoreVirtual. But what you'll physically have on the box is 4 nodes, each with 1 or 2 independent RAID sets, plus a network RAID 10 set that encompasses all 4 nodes on the appliance, creating a built-in level of data protection from day one. We'll skip forward on the timescale to fit within the demo window here, and you can see with roughly a minute remaining, we've already completed a host of tasks, including the creation of the StoreVirtual VSAs. It then progresses on to adding the clusters to vCenter itself. And with only a few seconds remaining here in the demo, this is actually the last final phase of the auto configuration. The last and final step after the install process completes will be to take you to the last screen of the OneView Instant-On process. Here you'll be given two choices. First and foremost, of course, is the information that you need to access the individual VSAs that were pre-installed on each of the nodes, but even more importantly is you're given direct links to launch vCenter to continue managing your environment, and or the CMC console for the StoreVirtual VSAs, where you can update software or continue to do more advanced RAID array and data protection configurations.
John, thank you very much for your presentation. And if we have questions for HP, please put them in the room. I think we do have a couple of questions, John. So the first question is, let me read this. Does HP Converged system support Hyper-V?
The Hyperconverged solutions, as they're shipping from HP, are VMware-centric. Hyper-V is the next hypervisor on our agenda. However, the StoreVirtual VSAs are already fully compliant with Hyper-V as well as KVM.
Excellent. And this is a good question. Is this based on your Left-Hand acquisition from a few years ago?
It is. It certainly is.
What was the original product that, I forget what it was called. Was it the Left-Hand VSA SanIQ? Okay.
Correct. And the currently shipping version is 11.5 as it sits on the Hyperconverged appliances.
Another question we have is, when this wizard first starts running, does it give you the choice to create a new cluster or to just join an existing cluster?
It does. So the first instance of the OneView Instant-On GUI will automatically assume, of course, that it is the one and only existing appliance. So it will become the first. Additional instances of that will give you the option to either create a new one or append to the existing environment. If you do the append, all of the previous information that was entered on the first appliance will carry over, and you'll only have to spend time entering the new storage IP addresses. Everything else will automatically carry over, saving even more time.
Okay, there's another question here. Now, I think there's some confusion between StoreVirtual and vSAN. Can you kind of explain the difference a little bit between those two offerings, from, especially as it pertains to Evo Rail? Can you, again, clarify those differences between the product offerings from HP?
Sure. Really a lengthy conversation that does require more time to completely justify, but I would simplify it to say that the StoreVirtual implementation offers much larger degree of flexibility over and above what can already be done within the Evo Rail or traditional VMware implementation. There's more advanced built-in data protection mechanisms from the get-go that do not require additional investment or licensing up front. Not that there aren't plenty of options available on the StoreVirtual side as well. We just tend to put in more of a data protection focus from the get-go.
And as he understands it, this viewer, he says that he believes it requires 4 nodes and it can go up to 16 nodes, or the limit is 4 units with 4 nodes for a total of 16 nodes. I guess that's how far it'll scale, 16 nodes?
Correct, on the Evo Rail solution, 32 on the StoreVirtual implementation.
What about capacity-wise? How far can StoreVirtual go?
You know, that's really up to how far you're willing to manage. 32 nodes in that single management group, depending on the models that you've got. The hybrid models average 7.2 terabytes usable, and the the SAS-only models are averaging 12.5 terabytes usable. And that's after the built-in data protection that we talked about. So RAID 5 and or RAID 1 to a single node, plus the network RAID 10 that envelopes all 4 nodes on the StoreVirtual side.
And we'll ask one more question, and it's how well does this perform with business-critical applications like Exchange, SharePoint, SQL Server, things like that, StoreVirtual?
You bet. To be honest, Exchange is always a one-off depending on what is going to be asked of an Exchange server. Best practices is always to dedicate as much as it needs, because that is a system that will fluctuate wildly. But these particular systems are definitely enterprise class, business critical components, and you can confidently rely on them to deliver day in and day out. We do have performance characteristics both for traditional VMs, VDI desktop, and IOPS that is now or should be published very, very soon on both solutions.
Sounds good. So we have actually time for a few more questions, if you have the inclination.
Of course, please.
What about dedupe and compression in StoreVirtual? Are those features included? That's a
they are
question
not.
from the audience.
You bet. So HP's taken a slightly different approach to this. We're taking the modular approach so that customers are only buying and investing upfront in exactly what they need. We do offer deduplication technologies through HP Store Once in both a VSA and an appliance format. We have chosen not at this point to pre-install that onto the Hyperconverged solutions, allowing those boxes to focus on exactly what it is the customer's intending to use them for. We can add those to the management groups and clusters, but they are not pre-installed on the boxes.
And another question is, have you done any performance comparison between StoreVirtual and EvoRail? And what have you been your experience on that?
We have. So the beauty of that is that obviously both are based at the host and operating system level on VMware technology, so they do share that in common. It really depends from there on whether you tend to be more compute heavy or more storage heavy and what that exact blend between the two is. What I would prefer to do, rather than just spitting out one number that may turn off one and entice another, is direct you out to hp.com to do that comparison a little bit more in depth, as those numbers have been published out there. That way you can tailor it specifically to the need that your question probably stemmed from.
Sounds good. And that's actually the end of the questions that we would be asking live. Thank you very much, John. I appreciate your time and your presentation.
Pleasure being here. Thank you.